Hey everyone, I'm really excited about sharing this video with you because we have implemented a Google Gem Math Tutor with some of our middle and high school students. Now, we haven't been using it long enough to really determine if it's truly going to increase growth in their learning, but the initial results seem to be very promising. So let's jump in, take a look at what it actually looks like for the student, and then I'll show you how to create your own Math Tutor Google Gem. So the first thing I did was I typed in evaluate 5 plus 3e when e equals 4, which you'll see here on your screen. And you'll notice that it said hello, is happy to help me with this problem. But immediately, what it does is begin to ask questions. So we designed this gem to not give student the answer. What we did do was design it to use Socratic questioning to help develop those critical thinking skills of the student. So for me, the number one thing is do not humanize AI, but rather use it as a tool to truly build critical thinking skills as compared to diminishing them. So it starts off with the question, but then I gave a typical student response, which is, what is the answer? You'll notice that it said, I can't just give you the answer because I want you to understand how to solve the problems. Yay, that's a good thing. So once again, it used a question to spur my thinking. I gave it a response. And again, it begins just to confer and interact with how I give it responses or questions that I even ask it. So let's talk about a question. I got down a little bit further into working the problem, and it gave me the idea of using PEMDAS. So it says, based on the order of operation, often called PEMDAS, which one should we do first? Well, I asked a question that a lot of students will not ask in front of their peers, which is, what does PEMDAS stand for? And I would like to elaborate a little bit more on that. That was one of the issues that I had as a student. I had wonderful math teachers, but I was too embarrassed to ask questions in front of my peers that I felt they already knew the answer to. The other thing I've noticed as a student, and maybe you have as well, that the teacher would write a problem up on the board, maybe two or three, and I was great if when I took a quiz, I saw a problem that looked exactly like the problem the teacher had gone over on the board. I could simply memorize the steps that they used and get a correct answer. However, if that math problem looked in the least bit different, I was lost. And that's because I just didn't have a good understanding of the why behind the steps that we were to take. This is the thing that I believe can help our teachers because it's impossible for one human being, one teacher, to meet the needs of all 30 kids in the classroom every single day. This is where AI can step in and be an assistant to that teacher. So we'll go a little bit further. It gave me the definition of what PEMDAS stood for. Once again, finished up with asking me a question. So it says, according to the list, which one comes first? And once you do that part, what does the expression look like? I gave it a response, and you continue to go forward until you get the answer. Now, what we have found is that it's been very good with not giving the answer to kids, questioning them, causing them to think. One thing that we have learned is we all know that after a while, kids don't necessarily want to continue reading it. We are exploring the option of where it will read aloud to the student, and the student can respond using the voice, which you'll see right here at the bottom of my screen using microphone. Now, the other thing I want to show you before giving you the instructions on how to do this is, how do you prevent students from getting outside of this gem and going to, for example, a brand new chat? Well, what our director of technology or chief information officer did in our district was used Go Guardian. So in a minute, I'll show you how to get a shareable link. I simply sent that to our chief information officer, who then allows that one link for students to have access to, but they cannot access any other parts of Gemini. Here's the second option, and I bet a lot of you didn't know about this. I know I didn't. There's a new product or tool called Class Tools that's in Google. Not in Google Classroom, it's separate from that, but it allows you to share links from the internet, or in this case, a link from Gemini Gem, and they can only access the links that you've shared. So in a video a little bit later down the road, I'm going to show you how to use Class Tools. And that's something that your chief information officer or director of technology will have to turn on for your district. Now let's take a look at, well, how do we build the gem? How do we share the gem? So we're going to click on Explore Gems, and I'm going to go to Math Tutor, and I'm going to click on the pencil, Edit. And so just remember, quite simply, you're going to give it a title or a name. And then remember, the description is really the most important component in terms of letting the user know what they are to do. So in this case, we just simply said, please upload or type in your problem, and let's begin learning. Now, something I want to point out that I didn't say earlier, you do not have to type the question in every single time. And I love this because there's just some math equations that you're not going to be able to type. That's when you can do a screenshot of that problem and copy and paste it and put it in, or you can simply save it as a JPEG and then upload it as a file on your desktop or from your Google Drive, and the Math Tutor will be able to read it. Then what I've done is I put in directions to give instructions to the Google Gem on how to interact with the student. Put a lot of guardrails in here to ensure that if a student asks a very inappropriate question, it wasn't going to give a response to that question. We also made sure that no matter how many different ways the student was trying to get the answer, that it avoided giving the student the answer. But again, help build their critical thinking skills. So I'm going to share in a link in the description below this video the actual instructions that we put in this gem, as well as share the link to this Math Tutor Gem with you. So let me go back and show you, how do you share the gem that you create? Well, you can go to here, click on share. You're going to have a couple options. It's going to ask you, do you want to share, offer it to give access to everyone, which is anyone with a link, just to your school district, or very restricted where it's just a certain person that you share with. I've put with anyone with the link so I can have the ability to share it with you below. I do not know if you'll be able to access it in your district, but you should, once you create your own gem, you should be able to share it with everyone within your district, maybe not out of it, but inside of it. So again, I hope you find this useful. I'm loving it. I think kids are going to like it. I'm really looking forward to get to a point where we add voice, where it reads to the student, as well as the kids being able to use the microphone. But again, I think it's just going to be another tool to help our teachers and help improve student learning. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.